Happiness is not something you will find when everything in your life is perfect. It doesn't wait until your job is confirmed, your bank account is full, or the people around you behave as you expect. Happiness is not something that will automatically arrive on some ideal day in the future when all factors in your life are perfect. Happiness comes from living in the present, from enjoying and leveraging what you have, rather than just waiting for something greater to happen. By continuing to live with the when this happens, when that happens mindset, you'll find yourself stuck in an endless loop of waiting. To me, happiness is not the ultimate goal. It is not something to wait for or achieve after overcoming a series of challenges. It is not a reward after completing all the tasks, solving every problem, or achieving significant accomplishments. In fact, these accomplishments are merely results of the process of living, but happiness is the result of how you live right now, even when everything is not perfect. If you only seek perfection to allow yourself to feel happiness, you will never achieve it. Happiness is a choice, a deliberate decision to perceive and evaluate life in a positive way, even when there are difficulties and challenges around you. You can choose to feel happy even without a clear reason. Look at my life. I constantly face problems and challenges, stressful days, failures, mistakes. But I do not allow these things to dictate my emotions. I choose to view them as lessons, opportunities to progress further. Every time I fall, I learn to stand up stronger. Every failure is one step closer to success, and from that, I can find satisfaction in the process itself. Life doesn't wait for you. It keeps moving, changing, and evolving. When you tie happiness to external stability, you're trapping yourself in an illusion. Life is about change and constant growth. You cannot control everything, but you can control how you respond to it. Happiness comes from how you view life, not from how you expect life to unfold. We all know life cannot be perfect. No one can have everything they want. The reality is, if you always wait for everything to be perfect before allowing yourself to feel happiness, you will always fail. Happiness is not something you achieve when you have everything. It is a feeling you experience when you live fully in the present, when you can find satisfaction and fulfillment even in the smallest things, in moments that may seem insignificant. This may sound simple, but it is extremely important. You don't need a perfect life to be happy. You only need a clear mind, an open heart, and a spirit ready to embrace every moment life offers. Don't wait for something ideal to happen. Happiness does not wait for ideal conditions. It doesn't wait until you have everything. Happiness begins when you learn to live fully, even when things are imperfect. You might say, but I'm going through tough times. I don't deny that. Everyone faces difficulties. Problems, challenges, and failures are inevitable in life. But how you respond to them will determine whether or not you are happy. You cannot change what is beyond your control, but you can change how you respond to it. Try seeing challenges as opportunities to grow, rather than burdens that weigh you down. When you change your perspective, you'll find that life, despite its struggles, still offers things worth appreciating. Don't let external factors dictate your emotions. Don't let things beyond your control make you feel helpless. Happiness is not a destination, but a journey that you can start today, no matter where you are or what your circumstances may be. You can be happy right now. All it takes is deciding to view life differently, seeking the positive in every situation. Successful people are not those who have perfect lives. They're the ones who never give up, never stop challenging themselves. They accept failure, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Just like me, I never thought my life would be perfect. I accept that anything can happen, and I must be ready to adapt to any situation. This doesn't mean I don't face challenges, but I learn how to live and work in those difficult circumstances. When you learn to find happiness within yourself, independent of any external conditions, you'll develop a mental strength that no one can take away. You will no longer seek happiness as a reward for achieving something, but you will realize that the journey through life each day is the reward. Look around you. The people who are truly happy are the ones who don't wait for perfection. They live fully every day, face challenges, but still maintain a positive attitude, not allowing external difficulties to control their emotions. Happiness is a choice you make every day, not something you get from the world. When you learn to live happily in imperfect situations, you'll realize that happiness is always present in your life, waiting for you to discover it. Happiness is not a destination, but a presence in each moment of life. It is a choice you can make right now in the most ordinary things. You cannot control everything in life. If you believe that happiness only comes when you achieve some perfect goal, you will face disappointment. Happiness does not come from achieving something grand or controlling every external factor. It comes from within you, from how you perceive and respond to the things around you. When you live with the belief that everything will be fine once you achieve something specific, you're chasing an illusion. I understand this feeling because I once believed that perfection was something achievable. But the truth is, life cannot be perfect forever, and if you try to control everything, you will only fail. Life, with all its imperfections and chaos, still has immense value. Happiness is not something you find when you achieve everything you want. It is not something that arrives when your work is stable, your bank account is full, or the people around you do things your way. Happiness is not a distant destination. It is a process, a state of mind that you can choose at any time. Those chasing the illusion that everything will be fine once they achieve something grand are missing the crucial moments right now. They live with the belief that they will be happy when they have a house, a car, a successful career, money, an ideal relationship. But the truth is, happiness is not the final reward in a race. It is the journey you go through each day. To me, what matters is not having everything I want, but how I choose to live and work every day. I don't live to achieve goals, but to learn, experiment, and innovate continually. When you start changing your perspective on life and letting go of perfect expectations, you will see that you've missed out on so many wonderful things. You will realize that every failure, every challenge is an opportunity to grow. We don't have to wait until we have everything to feel happy. Happiness comes when you start enjoying the simple moments, when you no longer live in worry about the future or regret the past. Life may never reach the perfection you desire, but it always holds wonderful things you can choose to experience right now. If you wait for perfection, you will always be disappointed. The belief that everything will be fine when you achieve a goal is an illusion. The reality is, life will keep changing, and you will always face new challenges. The goals you're striving for will change, and you will find new things to long for. The trap of chasing an illusion is that you never stop to live in the present. You live in waiting, in longing to achieve something, but when you finally get what you want, you realize it doesn't bring you the happiness you imagined. I used to work hard to achieve my goals, but I quickly realized that those accomplishments were not the source of happiness. Happiness comes from learning to live with yourself, learning to appreciate the small steps, the days you work hard, but not for some distant goal, but for daily progress. You can change your perspective on life by not placing too many expectations on achieving big goals. This doesn't mean you stop pursuing your ambition, but if you live only to achieve a goal, you will miss out on many important moments along the way. Happiness is this process, not the destination. You can achieve big goals without feeling content, and you can find happiness even when life is imperfect. We live in a world where everything seems to need to be perfect. Social media, the media, and the people around you will always make you think you need to achieve something grand to feel successful, to feel happy. But the truth is, success is not something you get when you achieve something someone else has defined for you. Success is not the result of what you own or the titles you hold. Success comes from the process of living your life, from how you face challenges, how you overcome failure, and from how you learn and grow every day. Waiting for something ideal is just a form of procrastination, preventing you from enjoying the important moments right now. I don't wait for a specific result to feel happy. I don't wait for something perfect to feel satisfied with my work. I don't wait for the acceptance of others to feel successful. I create my happiness by living fully with what I'm doing, even in the smallest moments. If you only focus on achieving goals without appreciating the value of each step along the way, you'll miss out on many valuable things. Chasing an illusion will never make you feel fulfilled. The truth is, happiness comes from living true to yourself, from learning to find joy in every moment of life. When you live with the expectation that your life must be perfect, you will always feel incomplete, always dissatisfied. You will never feel enough. But when you learn to appreciate what you have and seek happiness in every step of life, you'll find that happiness is not a goal to achieve, but something you can experience right now. Every time you chase an illusion, you miss the opportunity to live fully. Happiness is not in something far away that you haven't achieved, but in the small steps, the decisions you make every day. You will never feel happy if you continue to chase societal illusions or unrealistic expectations. Happiness does not come from achieving everything you want, but from how you live, how you face challenges, and how you enjoy every moment of your journey. Chasing an illusion only makes you miss the truly important things in this life. Emotions are not random reactions to the external world. They are an accurate reflection of how you live, how you think, and how you perceive everything around you. If you feel stressed, anxious, or dissatisfied, it's not because the world is bothering you, it's simply because you are allowing external factors to control your mood. Everything begins from within you. It's the way you view the world, how you face challenges, and how you choose to react that determines your emotions. I've learned that happiness doesn't come from what you own or the accomplishments you achieve, but from how you perceive life. Your emotions deeply reflect the way you live and build your mindset. Those who seek happiness externally will always be disappointed. They think that when they have enough money, achieve their goals, or when there are no issues around them, they will be happy. But the truth is, happiness is a choice. You can feel happy even when your life isn't perfect, as long as you choose to live that way. Many people think that emotions are just reactions of the body to the external environment, but that's only part of the story. Real emotions come from within. Your mood is not the result of the events you encounter, but the result of how you interpret and respond to those events. If you face difficulties and immediately feel frustrated, angry, or think you can't overcome them, it's because you've chosen to react that way. But if you change your perception and choose to face the challenge calmly, without being swept away by negative emotions, you will find it easier to overcome everything. There is a truth I've realized throughout my journey. Every challenge, big or small, can bring opportunity if you view it differently. All you need to do is change the way you perceive everything. When you understand that negative emotions are just a reflection of how you respond to life, you won't let them control you anymore. Emotions can be controlled if you decide to master them. As someone living in the tech world, I often face stressful situations, especially when I have to solve major and important issues. But I realize that I can't let negative emotions stop me. When I feel anxious or stressed, I don't blame the circumstances. Instead, I reevaluate how I'm handling the situation and focus on what I can control. Calmness, emotional regulation, and how you perceive problems are the factors that help me stay strong and not be swept away by negative emotions. This is an important lesson you need to understand. You can't change external events, but you can change how you deal with them. And when you do that, your emotions will no longer be random reactions, but will become a true reflection of how you live and choose to view life. When you choose to live with a positive attitude, you'll find everything in life becomes easier. You'll find you're able to handle every situation calmly and effectively. Your emotions are not something you have to accept as an unchangeable outcome. You can create your emotions by choosing how you think and act. Happiness is not something that happens when you get everything you want, but a state of mind you can choose to achieve right now. When you change how you perceive life and begin to live with gratitude and acceptance, you will realize that happiness is not something you have to wait for, but something you can create every day. I can proudly say that I have built a solid mindset system, one that helps me maintain calmness and optimism in any situation. This didn't happen by chance. I've had to practice continuously, just like an athlete trains their muscles to respond calmly and decisively in stressful situations. If you want your emotions to reflect a positive and meaningful life, you need to start with small changes in how you perceive and respond to life's challenges. Calmness and happiness are not things you can achieve overnight. They are the result of a long process of practice and persistence. And in this process, you'll need to learn how to control your emotions rather than letting them control you. The important thing to remember is that your emotions are not random reactions, but are reflections of how you choose to live. When you change how you live, you will see your emotions change as well, and that's when you'll begin to experience true freedom. I always emphasize that happiness doesn't come from the outside, but from within. You can have everything others think is necessary to be happy, but if you don't change how you perceive life and your emotions, you will never feel enough. This world is not perfect, and you don't need to be perfect to feel happy, Your emotions will accurately reflect what you think and feel. If you view life with gratitude and acceptance, you will feel happy, even if you don't have everything you want. And that is your true power. You have the right to choose how you live and how you feel. And when you do that, you'll find that life becomes easier and more wonderful than ever. Chasing perfection is one of the biggest mistakes many people make in life. They think that one day, when everything is perfectly in place, when there are no more problems, they will find true satisfaction. But the truth is, there is no such thing as perfect, and the so-called perfection is just a trap. If you keep looking for it, you will never find true satisfaction. When I began my journey, I too had imagined a perfect world, where everything went exactly according to plan. But after a while, I realized that the perfection I was looking for was just an illusion. Life is not a straight path that we can walk without encountering any obstacles. In fact, real growth comes from failures, difficulties, and stumbling. When you chase perfection, you'll easily feel defeated when things don't go as you want. You won't be able to accept imperfection, and this will create a loop of dissatisfaction. Think about the times I failed. When I founded SpaceX, not everything went smoothly. We faced many failures. Rockets exploded, there were mistakes in designs and financial difficulties. But it was those failures that helped us grow and improve. If we had given up because of the ideal of perfection, we wouldn't have achieved what we have today. So, you must learn to accept imperfection. Don't see failures as an end, but as opportunities to learn and improve. Don't let the fear of imperfection prevent you from acting. I've had to face many difficult decisions, great risks in my career, but I didn't let the worry that things weren't perfect hold me back. In fact, if you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never get anything done. Every important decision in life requires some risk, and you must accept uncertainty. The key is to take action, even if you can't be sure everything will go as you expect. It's those quick decisions and the willingness to face imperfection that help me succeed. You can't wait for perfection, you can only start where you are and adjust over time. I want you to understand that imperfection is not a bad thing. It is a condition for growth. Every time you don't reach your goals as expected, you can look back and see what you can do better. Your mistakes are valuable lessons. You must change how you view failure. Don't see it as an end, but as an essential part of your progress. When you stop chasing perfection and accept that nothing is perfect, you will feel lighter and you will act more effectively. This is also true with how I built the companies I founded. Not every decision was perfect from the start. But every decision, whether right or wrong, brought lessons and helped me improve. When I began building Tesla, not the company was always profitable. People doubted Tesla's chances of success, and sometimes I doubted as well. But I didn't let doubt or initial failure stop me. I believed in my goal and knew that failures were just stepping stones to getting closer to success. If I had given up when things weren't perfect, I wouldn't have Tesla today. So why do we keep searching for perfection? The truth is, the perfect ideal doesn't exist. Each of us has flaws, and those flaws make up our identity. We learn from our mistakes, and it's those mistakes that create maturity. Remember, the small steps in life can lead to great success. And you will never get far if you don't start walking from the small and imperfect things. Don't skip any steps just because they aren't perfect. Action, experimentation, and adjustments are the keys. Perfection is just a trap that makes you always feel inadequate. You will never feel satisfied if you keep searching for the perfect ideal. That's why I advise you to stop chasing perfection. Learn to work with what you have instead of waiting until you have everything. Keep working, learn from your failures, and keep moving forward. Perfection is unnecessary. What you need is continuous progress and the ability to change direction when needed. When you stop chasing perfection and start acting, you'll realize that you've moved much farther than you imagined. That is real success. I don't want you to live just to achieve a perfect ideal, but to live to accomplish meaningful things. Life will never be perfect, but it can be full of meaning if you keep learning, developing, and living according to your values. Chasing perfection only wears you out and disappoints you. But if you accept imperfection, you'll realize that you can accomplish amazing things without needing to be perfect. Start with small steps and persistently move forward. Don't let imperfection make you hesitate. By acting now, you will gradually create significant change in the future, and that's what truly matters. Happiness is not a natural state that we can only passively wait for. It is not something that will come when the conditions are right, when everything goes smoothly. Happiness is a skill, and like any other skill, it can be trained, developed, and improved over time. I am not someone who has a perfect life, but I have learned that happiness doesn't come from perfection. It comes from the ability to adjust yourself and how you face life. When I started with SpaceX or Tesla, I didn't think happiness would automatically come when everything worked smoothly. On the contrary, I realized that success is not a prerequisite for happiness. It is the way I react to challenges, failures, and victories that determines my emotional state. We often tend to think that happiness is something external that can be brought to us. We think that when we achieve big goals, when we have enough money, or when we receive recognition from society, we will automatically feel happy. But that's wrong. Happiness does not come from achieving goals or getting what you want. It comes from choosing to live fully and meaningfully every day. To do this, you need to train your ability to perceive life positively, learn to choose the right reactions, and stick to habits that create inner peace. When I say happiness is a skill, I am not talking about a temporary feeling or instant joy. True happiness is the result of creating a healthy mindset system, just like how you train muscles. It is not something you achieve once and for all, but a process of building and maintaining every day. Personally, to maintain energy in my work, I have to keep habits like meditation, exercising, and adjusting my mindset to stay focused. These things don't come from waking up with excitement, but from long-term habits I've trained and never given up on. These habits include talking to myself positively and not allowing myself to get caught up in negative thoughts. When facing a challenge, you can react in two ways. One is to see it as an insurmountable problem, and the other is to view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Happiness comes from the ability to see challenges as an essential part of life, rather than something to be feared. This requires practice and persistence. Imagine you're doing something uncomfortable, like working with a difficult team or facing a big financial decision. How you handle these situations will determine your sense of happiness. You might think, only when this situation is over will I be able to feel happy. But in reality, you can choose happiness even in difficult times. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect before you feel satisfied. Maintaining happiness isn't based on external conditions. It's about practicing how you handle your emotions. If you live with the belief that happiness only comes when you achieve something, you'll never have enough. One of the important lessons I've learned throughout my career is happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. You can't keep waiting for a milestone to feel happy. Happiness comes from living fully in every moment, whether facing difficulties or enjoying the simple things in life. Let me elaborate on an important aspect. Happiness can be nurtured through actions and reactions. You can't always control everything, but you can control how you respond to everything. This is not a vague theory. It is a fact supported by science. Studies in neuroscience have shown that about 40% of a person's happiness comes from personal habits and thoughts. This means that happiness is not a lucky gift you get once, but the result of choosing how to perceive life and consciously building habits. When you work on things you love, you can feel happiness not because the goal is achieved, but because you've lived fully in the process. We often forget that happiness can come from simple moments like enjoying a hot cup of tea, finishing a small task, or simply feeling your breath. If you take time to engage in those little things with mindfulness, you will realize that happiness is not something you have to wait for. It's something you can create at any moment. I've faced many challenges in life and career, and I never waited until everything was perfect to allow myself to feel happiness. If I had done that, I would never have moved forward. Happiness isn't about waiting for everything around you to be in place. In fact, it only comes when you decide to choose contentment right now. This doesn't mean you should ignore your big goals. It simply means you need to learn how to create joy in every moment. Remember, not everything in life will go the way you want, and there will surely be things that are imperfect. But if you view it as an opportunity to learn, you will feel satisfied. Don't let imperfection hold you back. Start with yourself. Practice the skill of happiness every day, through every habit, every reaction, and every small action. You don't need to do anything extraordinary or grand. Just start with simple steps and persistence, and you will gradually build happiness for yourself. So I want you to remember one important thing. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is the ability to live fully in every moment of life. And you can practice that every day. Happiness is a skill that you can learn and develop. Don't wait for someday to feel happy. Start right now. Happiness isn't always a big event, and it's not always a breakthrough moment. Sometimes it's just simple, unnoticed moments. But they are the building blocks for a full life. I've learned that happiness is not a distant milestone, but a collection of actions, choices, and repeated responses in daily life. And if you don't learn to enjoy the small moments, you'll miss out on a lot of joy in life. We often expect happiness to come from big achievements. We think that when we attain success, when we reach big goals, we will automatically feel happy. But the truth is, I've realized that happiness doesn't always come with grandeur. It's not a glorious moment, but all the small steps, the actions you take in your daily life. Happiness comes from the choices you make each day, how you react to the world around you, how you learn and grow through each challenge. Imagine you have a tiring workday. Things don't go as you expected and you feel exhausted. At this point, you can choose to sink into frustration, or you can find the positive aspects of the day, no matter how small. Maybe you completed a task, helped someone, or simply have a bit of energy left to continue. Moments like these aren't always flashy, but they are the building blocks for long-lasting happiness. Big success is something we all desire, but if you only wait until you achieve that success to feel happy, you'll forever chase a goal that you may never reach. Throughout the journey with SpaceX and Tesla, I've faced many failures, moments full of self-doubt about myself and my projects. But it was in those moments that I learned that happiness comes from the ability to view each failure as an opportunity to learn and move forward. Therefore, happiness is not a great event or a significant milestone you achieve after working tirelessly. It is contentment with what you have, with what you're doing. It's the ability to find joy in the simplest and quietest things. A conversation with a friend, a peaceful morning, or a quiet moment in the midst of a busy life. These moments don't make a lot of noise, but they are essential pieces in your happiness. When I was younger, I also thought happiness had to come with success. But when I look back on the years gone by, I realized that what made me happy weren't big milestones, but the small things I experienced along the way. Every time I asked myself, can I do better? That was a small moment creating progress. Every time I overcame a challenge I didn't think I could, that was a real moment of happiness. And that happiness wasn't something that came to me after a big victory, but something I created in every moment. We tend to focus on big achievements and overlook the small joys, but it's those small joys that form the foundation of a full life. I'm not saying you shouldn't set big goals, but I want you to realize that happiness isn't a destination, it's the journey. You don't need to wait until you achieve big goals to feel content. Find satisfaction in every step, in every moment, in every task, big or small. One important lesson I've learned in life is that you can't control everything. You can't control every situation, every event, but you can control how you react to them. Happiness doesn't come from being able to change everything around you, but from being able to change how you view and respond to what happens. Happiness is the result of being proactive, in maintaining a positive attitude, in seeking the good, even in difficult circumstances. We don't need to change the world to be happy. The world is not always fair, but you can choose how to view it. You can't change the past, but you can change how you live in the present. And it's in the present where happiness is built, not in distant plans or ideal conditions you set. What you do right now, the habits you build today, will determine your happiness in the future. Never think that happiness can only come when you have everything you want. Happiness comes when you know how to appreciate what you have, to find satisfaction in what you do. Every day is an opportunity to build happiness, not through big achievements, but by living fully in every moment. And when you learn how to do that, you'll realize that happiness isn't a goal you must chase your whole life. It's a journey you've already started right now. Happiness isn't always grand. It lies in the small things, in habits, in simple actions. And if you know how to appreciate those moments, you'll build a happy life. A life where you don't need to wait for a major milestone to realize its value. Happiness is not something that comes in a sudden moment, nor is it something you can only feel when you achieve a big goal or conquer a success. True happiness stems from the small actions you take every day. Every decision, every action, whether trivial or not, plays an important part in building satisfaction and fulfillment in life. These small steps, when repeated daily, will create a solid foundation for a meaningful and happy life. If you think happiness only comes when you complete a grand project or win a big competition, you'll continuously live in a state of waiting. You'll never truly feel satisfied if you see happiness only as a reward after achieving big goals. In reality, happiness can be found in the smallest actions, in habits that may seem insignificant but have incredible power. Think about the small steps you take every day, the decisions you make when you wake up, the actions you take throughout the day. You can choose to wake up a little earlier to give yourself time to do what you love without feeling rushed. You can choose to eat a healthy breakfast instead of fast food. You can choose to take a few minutes every day to ask yourself, what did I learn today? What can I do to feel better and progress further? Each of these small actions, when done consistently, will help you build positive habits and mindset, creating sustainable happiness. We live in a world where many focus on big achievements, decisive milestones like promotions, buying a house, or making a large sum of money. But when you only look at big successes, you miss out on precious moments along the journey. Happiness is not a destination, but what you experience in the process of achieving those goals. Happiness is the actions you take to move closer to your goals. I have faced many failures and challenges, but it was in those moments that I realized maintaining a positive attitude and taking small actions every day is what matters. Waking up and starting the day with determination can make a huge difference in how you perceive and face challenges throughout the day. Taking proactive steps helps you feel in control of your life, even if everything around you may not go as expected. Small actions are the foundation for great growth. Successful people are not those who wait for big opportunities, but those who take advantage of small opportunities to learn, improve, and progress every day. In fact, those who do this may not stand out immediately, but after a while, they will make big changes that you can't see in the beginning. It is perseverance and determination through small actions that help them build careers, families, and happy lives. Small actions can be changes in daily habits, from taking care of yourself and maintaining your health to nurturing relationships with family and friends. Sometimes just taking a few minutes to talk to someone or spending time listening without judgment can bring great satisfaction. Each of these small actions is a step toward inner peace and sustainable happiness. Happiness is a state you can actively create every day. Don't wait until you have things outside to feel happy. You can start now, right in the present moment. I've learned that if you take small actions with determination, you'll find that these are what create big changes in your life. When you take small actions with a positive mindset and a clear goal, you'll realize that you don't need to wait for big milestones to experience joy in life. Each small action can contribute to a meaningful and happy life. If you appreciate the small moments in life, you will build a solid foundation for lasting happiness. Don't wait until you achieve big successes. Don't wait until everything is perfect. True happiness comes from the small steps you take every day, proactive steps, determination, always moving forward. Happiness is not something you can achieve in one day. It is the result of the decisions and actions you take every day. Don't overlook the small things, because they will make a big difference. Focus on improving yourself every day from the smallest actions, and you will see that happiness is not something far away, but something you are building from small actions today. Take these small actions, maintain them every day, and you will realize that from these small steps, you will build a life that you are proud of and fulfilled. Don't wait. Life never becomes perfect, and if you keep waiting for everything to reach the ideal level, you'll miss the whole journey. Life is a series of challenges, constant changes, and a mix of failures and successes. You cannot control every factor around you, and if you live by the when, then I will mentality, you will never truly live fully. What you can control is how you react, how you embrace each moment, and how you adjust yourself to fit the changes of life. I know this well because I've been through it. I didn't wait until SpaceX became a top space company to start enjoying the fruits of life. Every step, every failure, every success has been part of the journey I chose. No one achieves great things without going through countless challenges, trials, and failures. And if you wait for a perfect world to step into, you'll lock yourself out of the opportunity to truly live. This life has no perfect ideal, and that's why we need to learn to enjoy it in its imperfect aspects. Don't let your life be controlled by unrealistic standards or overly high expectations of a world you cannot control. Instead of trying to control everything and exhausting yourself over a world that will never be perfect, learn to enjoy even the smallest moments. Waiting for perfection only delays your life. All you need to do is start. Action, even small, will create progress. Perfection is not the final goal, it is the journey you go through in the process. Once you realize that perfection doesn't exist, you will open the door to embrace life with everything it offers. Don't let the search for perfection hold you back. Accept mistakes, failures, and from them, learn to do better every day. I always look for ways to improve what I'm doing, but I don't wait for everything to become perfect. If you wait for everything to be perfect before you start, you will never start. A good idea can only become reality when you act, even if the circumstances aren't ideal, because only when you act can you adjust, improve, and make it better step by step. Don't wait until everything is right. Start, and in the process, you'll see yourself grow and learn a lot. So never wait for a perfect day. Life will never let you stop and wait for perfection. Sometimes you just need to step outside and get started. This world has too many opportunities waiting for those who are ready to begin, even if the conditions aren't perfect. Perfection is just an illusion. And if you don't learn to live with what you have, you will always be standing on the outside of life. Think about the decisions you're making. Are you waiting for everything to be perfectly arranged to start a project, change jobs, or build a new relationship? If so, you'll always be in a state of waiting and never act. Take action now. Don't let waiting stop you. The first steps, no matter how small, will bring you closer to your goal. Perfection never appears in a short time. It comes from persistent efforts and continuous action. I always look for ways to improve myself and my work, but I don't wait for everything to be perfect to enjoy the results. Look at the big failures I've faced. They didn't stop me. Instead, they helped me learn, correct, and continue the journey. If I had just sat there waiting for everything to be perfect, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. It's thanks to those imperfect steps that I've progressed and built great things. If you focus too much on perfection, you'll miss the opportunity to grow. You'll never be able to accomplish big goals if you always wait until you're fully ready. The reality is, no one is 100% ready when they start. You'll face challenges, failures, and even wrong decisions. But all of these are part of the process. What's important is not letting waiting slow you down. One thing I've learned from building SpaceX, Tesla, or other projects is to never wait for perfection. Great creations often don't come from being perfect from the start, but from the constant determination to improve and optimize. Nothing is perfect immediately. Perfection comes from small steps, from continuously improving each day. And you can only do this if you start now instead of waiting. Life is not a puzzle with a perfect solution. It's a process in which you must accept imperfection. How you face challenges in life, how you overcome difficulties, will shape your own perfection. Don't wait to have a perfect life. Start living the life you want right now. Happiness doesn't come from perfection. It comes from accepting and learning from every step, every decision you make. Remember, nothing will ever be perfect. But if you stop and wait for perfection, you'll miss valuable opportunities. Live in the present moments. Embrace life as it happens. Each day is a new opportunity for you to create, improve, and move forward. Don't wait. Don't wait for perfection. Start now. And in the process, you will see your life become more meaningful and happy. Happiness is not a destination that you must reach. It is not something you wait for as a reward when you accomplish a goal. Happiness is something that accompanies you throughout life's journey. It is the feeling of fulfillment from facing challenges and overcoming difficulties. The presence in every moment, whether big or small. I've realized that happiness is not the result of what happens out there. It does not come from achieving great goals, but from how we approach life every day. When I started Tesla or SpaceX, I was not the only one setting goals. Those around me, my team and I all had to learn to find joy in the process of growth, not just in the final outcome. Because if we only wait for the result to feel happiness, it will never come. It will always be out there in the next goal, in the next success. The truth is, if you don't learn to enjoy the journey, you will miss out on what truly matters. That's why happiness isn't something you can buy or find in some distant place. It's in how we live, how we choose to think and act every day. Each day is an opportunity for you to change how you perceive life. You can choose to be swept away by worries and failures, but you can also choose to see value in every moment. Throughout the development of Tesla, I learned an important lesson. Success doesn't come from achieving the final goal, but from how you live and work every day. What makes the difference between someone who always feels dissatisfied and someone who is happy is the awareness of their own journey. When you see life as a series of challenges and opportunities for growth, you will find that happiness is not something distant. It is something you can feel in every moment, in solving a problem, in approaching a new challenge, and in learning from every mistake. Happiness does not come from completing big goals you set for yourself. It comes from the moments when you feel you're doing meaningful things, whether that's in work, relationships, or personal hobbies. Happiness is the freedom you feel when you do what you love without worrying about the outcome. It is not something at the top of a mountain you must climb. It is you as you climb it, realizing that every step, whether difficult or easy, is worthwhile. When I began building SpaceX, I didn't set happiness as the ultimate goal. It was a company full of challenges, and there were times when I felt like everything was falling apart around me. But instead of just looking at the difficulties, I chose to look at the opportunities that each failure brought. That didn't mean I didn't face difficulties, but I learned to see those challenges as part of the process. That's how happiness accompanied me, not because everything was perfect, but because I learned to find joy in growth and improvement. I realized that happiness is not something you can achieve once and be done with it. It's a process, a never-ending journey. You can't just rely on one success or one special moment to feel happy. In fact, those who achieve great success are not the ones who just wait until they have it all. They are the ones who see value in every small step and never stop waiting for a perfect day. Happiness is when you can look at your journey, even with failures, with a positive outlook, and build a strong emotional foundation from what you've done. Happiness is not a destination that only those who are patient and know how to maintain good habits can reach. Remember, happiness doesn't come from making everything perfect, but from building a solid life from the values you believe in. If you keep chasing perfection and let it control you, you will always live in lack. The truth is, happy people are not those who never face difficulties, but those who know how to overcome those difficulties without letting them knock them down. The difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful one often lies in how they view the world and their journey. Successful people often see failure as a lesson, as an opportunity to learn, rather than as an end. They learn to find happiness in small steps, in continuous efforts. And happiness, once found in the smallest things, will become an indispensable part of their lives. Therefore, you don't need to wait for a special moment, a big event, to feel happy. Happiness is something that accompanies you when you start looking at life, not through the eyes of someone waiting for the final result, but through the eyes of someone who is ready to enjoy the journey, no matter how difficult or hard it is. That's how happiness becomes your lifelong companion, not because it comes from some event, but because you know how to live fully in the moments that life brings. This world is not short of challenges, but it is full of opportunities for you to find joy in the process. If you only see happiness as something at the end of the road, you will miss out on a lot. Look at every step, and you will realize that happiness is not only in the final result, but is a part of you, in how you perceive life and how you face every condition, every circumstance. Living with happiness means you choose to live meaningfully every day. It's not living according to the pressure of circumstances, but living with your own choice, living with purpose and inspiration from the small things you do. And when you start living like this, you will realize that happiness is an indispensable companion in every journey of yours. Stop for a second and ask yourself, how do I find happiness? Maybe you've asked that question hundreds of times every time when you're tired, stuck, or frustrated. But if the question is wrong, no matter how many times you answer it, you won't get any closer to true happiness. Instead of asking, how do I find happiness, I choose to ask a different question. How am I living today? Because the issue is not whether you're lacking happiness, but whether you're living in a way that leads to happiness. Happiness is not a destination, it's a consequence. And the consequence only comes when you change the way you live, not when you keep asking vague questions about emotions you can't even measure. I don't believe in waiting for luck. I don't believe in depending on external circumstances to control my emotions. Happiness comes from within, from how you think, act, and react to everything that happens. If you wait for everything to be perfect before you feel joy, you'll live in delay forever. I've seen it too many times. Talented people who are always dissatisfied because their happiness standard is based on an unrealistic condition. Only when I achieve X, then I'll be happy. But what happens if that condition keeps pushing forward? The answer is, you'll always run, but never arrive. Change starts with perspective. You don't need a big reason to live fully. You just need a reason that's real enough. When you start asking, how am I living today? You shift from passive thinking to active thinking. You're no longer someone searching for emotions, but someone building emotions. You look at how you use your time, how you talk to others, how you react to difficulties, and from that you realize every action, every choice is a brick in building the foundation of long-term emotional states. I believe happiness is a byproduct of accuracy in thinking and action. It's not something you find in a 10-hour meditation or an expensive vacation. It's in how you choose to get up after failure, how you speak kindly to yourself when things don't go your way, and especially how you maintain inner discipline in moments no one sees. These things are not loud, but they create a fundamental difference in how you experience life. One question I often ask myself is, which habits in me are nurturing unhappiness? I don't ask this to blame myself. I ask to clearly see myself. Because if 40% of your emotions each day come from habits, and science has proven this, it means you have the power to reinvent yourself at any time. No big reason needed, just a different choice. Start with one small behavior. Instead of opening your phone to compare your life with someone else's, you can open it to silence notifications and take 10 minutes to breathe in silence. It may seem small, but you're sending a signal to your brain, I choose to live differently. And when you repeat that signal daily, happiness will inevitably come. Many people live as though their moods are controlled by circumstances. But you're not a victim of the world. You're only a victim of the questions you ask yourself. Why does everything always go wrong for me? Is a wrong question. What can I adjust in how I live today is the right question. From the right question, you get the right strategy. And from the right strategy, you get the right experience. Even if not perfect, but enough to make you feel meaningful in this life. Happiness isn't hidden in a distant condition. It exists in every conscious choice. I had to practice changing a series of seemingly small habits, but with a big impact. Writing down 3 things I'm grateful for every night, staying silent for 5 minutes every morning, slowing down before responding to negativity. Not because I wanted to be a positive person, but because I wanted to control my inner operating system. You can't live on old emotions, old reflexes, and expect life to be new. You have to rewrite every line of code in how you live daily. And then, something miraculous happens. When you stop asking, when will I be happy, and start asking, how have I lived today, you begin to answer with actions, not daydreams. You start focusing on what you can do right now. You are no longer dragged by the past, nor tied by the future. You are present. And it is that presence where true happiness is born. Not from running away, but from the ability to look directly, live authentically, and choose the right actions, even when no one is watching. We cannot choose every event in life, but we can choose how we respond to each of them. Freedom starts from within, and happiness, it is not a reward for the lucky ones, but the result of those who know how to reset their own mindset. You don't need the world to change before you feel complete. You just need to reset the question you live with every day. Instead of asking, when will I be happy? Try asking, what am I contributing to my own unhappiness? And what can I choose to live better today? You are the one programming your emotional system. Don't run on an outdated operating system. Update it every day with awareness, discipline, and courage. And then, you won't need anyone to rescue you from emptiness. You will be the one who masters yourself. This is not theory. This is the operating principle of anyone who truly wants to live, not as someone chasing emotions, but as someone designing their life with wisdom. The key to achieving happiness does not lie in a great moment, but in the daily habits you choose. Happiness is not something that only happens when you reach a big goal or get something you desire. In reality, happiness is a series of small actions you take every day. The habits you practice, the decisions you make every morning when you wake up, are the building blocks of your emotional foundation. Happiness is not a destination you aim for, it's the process, the small but persistent steps you take. I've gone through thousands of challenges in life, but success hasn't always come from a breakthrough or a major decision. It's the result of daily habits I've consistently followed. When you continually have healthy habits, you are setting up an automatic system that helps maintain emotional stability and mental health. This system doesn't wait for you to succeed or achieve something before it works. It operates continuously, helping you maintain your mood and ability to respond to situations in life. Therefore, what matters is not achieving the big goals you've set, but maintaining the habits that benefit you every day. These habits don't have to be grand, but they must have the power to create lasting change. They are actions you don't need to think too much about. They don't take much time, but their effects are profound. It might be waking up early, taking a few minutes to relax and breathe deeply, or maintaining a healthy diet no matter how busy you are. These habits not only help you have a healthy body, but also create a strong mental foundation. When you create these habits, you no longer live passively, waiting for things to happen naturally. You are in control of everything. Every small action throughout the day can change the course of your emotions. From these habits, you will realize that happiness is not something distant you have to wait for. It's something you can build from the small decisions you make every day. Let me give you an example of a very simple habit that can create a significant change in your life. Every morning, I spend the first few minutes of the day thinking about 3 things I'm grateful for. It doesn't matter what they are. It could be a good night's sleep, an interesting encounter, or simply waking up to a new day. I simply start the day with a positive mindset, allowing me to face any challenge without being overwhelmed by negative feelings. The feeling of gratitude helps me maintain a balanced mental state, giving me enough energy to accomplish everything. This may sound simple, but it creates a domino effect in my life. When I start the day with gratitude, I find it easier to face difficulties. I'm not stressed or overwhelmed. I proactively control my emotions and maintain clarity in every decision. This positive feeling is not just psychological. It helps me build a strong mental structure to overcome greater challenges. Happiness is not something that is handed to you. It is something you must actively build, just like I built SpaceX, Tesla, or Neuralink. All these companies started from an idea, a determination, and a series of small actions repeated until they succeeded. Happiness is the same. It's not something that comes from luck or coincidence, but the result of repeated habits. For me, what matters is not just achieving the goal, but maintaining the habits that led me to success. You may not see results immediately, but if you maintain habits every day, you will see a clear difference in your emotions and mental state. I want you to understand that big changes don't happen instantly. You can't expect a leap in life. These changes happen gradually, over each day, through each small action, through each choice you make every morning when you wake up. When you start choosing habits that help you live healthily, you will realize that happiness is not something you have to search for. It's right here in how you live, in every action you take. You don't need to wait for a perfect day, because every day can be a step closer to happiness if you choose to act correctly. The key is to create habits that help you live right. Live with purpose. If you feel stuck, start with the simplest things. Don't search for big changes. Instead, create daily habits that you can maintain in the long run. Take time for yourself. Read a good book. Walk, breathe, meditate, or simply sit and think about things you're grateful for. When you can maintain these habits every day, you'll realize that happiness is not something you have to wait for. Happiness is the result of the habits you choose to build each day. I won't tell you that happiness is easy to achieve, but I can assure you that it is something you can build if you create the right habits. And these habits don't have to be grand or extraordinary. They just need to be simple actions, but performed persistently every day. And from that, happiness will gradually come. Remember, success is not the final goal. It's the process, the accumulation from small habits. Happiness is the same. It's not a perfect goal you need to achieve. Happiness is the choices you make every day. And when you understand that, you'll realize that happiness is not something you find somewhere far away. It's something you create every day from yourself, with yourself. We live in a world where everything is constantly changing. You cannot control everything around you. But one thing you can control is how you respond to what happens. Life does not always go according to plan. Events and situations beyond your control can disrupt everything you've built. But what matters is not what happens, but how you react. Happiness is not the result of great things you achieve, but the result of how you react to the challenges, failures, and imperfections in life. You may face a difficult situation, but instead of letting it disappoint you or knock you down, you can choose to react positively. This is where the difference between successful people and those who cannot overcome challenges is clearly shown. It's not that they don't face difficulties, but that they know how to choose their reactions to each challenge. I too have faced unforeseen situations in my journey of building my companies, but instead of giving up or letting those situations hold me back, I chose to respond differently. Each time I faced failure, I viewed it as an opportunity to learn and adjust my course. If I hadn't changed the way I viewed and responded to failures, I might not have achieved the accomplishments I have today. How you respond to situations in life determines not only the final result, but also your peace of mind. Some people will feel angry and sad when things don't go as planned. They may spend hours, even days, thinking about what happened, blaming themselves or others. But when you choose a different response, a positive response, you not only overcome the challenge, but also become stronger, wiser, and more confident. One thing I always remind myself is, in every situation, I can choose how I react. I can choose to feel disappointed, angry, or even confused when facing a big problem. But I understand that these negative feelings won't help me solve the problem. They only drag me into helplessness. On the contrary, if I choose to stay calm and find a solution to the problem, I'll find a way forward. Happiness starts with how you choose to respond. Imagine you're facing a difficult situation, such as a failed project or someone disagrees with you. You can choose to feel disappointed, even give up, or you can choose to stand up, reevaluate the problem, learn from mistakes, and continue moving forward. The second choice not only helps you overcome the challenge, but also helps you learn and grow while building resilience and a positive mindset. When you choose a positive response to each challenge, you not only change how you face difficulties, but also change how you perceive life. Life is not always easy, but when you know how to choose your response, you'll see that every difficulty can become an opportunity for you to grow. And this is a crucial part of achieving happiness. It's not because life is always easy, but because you know how to turn difficulties into lessons and keep moving forward. Reflecting on the times I've faced significant challenges in my work, certainly not everything has gone according to plan. Financial issues, difficulties in production, or even skepticism from people around me were challenges I couldn't avoid. However, instead of letting those situations pull me down, I chose to look at everything from a different perspective. I always asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I overcome the situation effectively? That's how I maintained my spirit and made significant progress in my work. So, how can you start changing your response? The first step is realizing that you always have a choice. Don't let circumstances decide your emotions. You can change how you perceive and respond to every situation. If something doesn't go as you want, don't see it as a failure. See it as an opportunity to grow, learn, and adjust. You can't control everything, but you can control how you respond to them. Choosing a positive response not only helps you maintain peace of mind, but also helps you build a happier life. When you can stay calm and find solutions, instead of being swept away by negative emotions, you'll feel more confident, and that confidence will help you overcome every challenge in life. Life is a continuous series of situations you must face. You can't predict what will happen in the future, but you can be sure that the decisions you make, especially in difficult times, will determine your success. If you always choose a positive response, always maintain an optimistic attitude, and look for solutions instead of blaming or blaming yourself, you'll see that happiness is something you can build from yourself. So I encourage you, don't let life control you. Take control of your life, choose the right response, take positive action, and you'll see that happiness is not something far away, but something you can build right from the small steps in life every day. Life is not always smooth sailing. Challenges don't only come from the outside, but also from within, from thoughts, beliefs, and sometimes unrealistic expectations we set for ourselves. When facing difficulties, what matters is not what you lose, but how you build and develop resilience to cope with them. Resilience is not the ability to never fall, but the ability to rise after each fall, learn from failures, and continue moving forward, no matter how difficult life gets. I am not someone who never faces challenges. There have been times when it felt impossible to overcome, but through each challenge, I've realized that resilience is not an inherent trait, it is a skill that can be built and practiced every day. Resilience is the ability to maintain your spirit when things don't go according to plan. It's the perseverance to keep trying even when the circumstances are tough. And that's the foundation that helps me seek and maintain happiness in life. Think about the difficult moments in your life. Is it when facing a problem that you feel lost and it seems like everything is against you? That's when you need resilience. Resilience doesn't mean becoming a hard, emotionless person. On the contrary, resilience is the ability to face difficulties without letting them knock you down. It's the ability to keep going even when results don't come immediately, and the strength to rise after every fall. As a leader in fields like space and technology, I understand that every decision can lead to failure, but failure is not the end, it's an opportunity to learn. The failures in the past helped me realize that resilience is not about never failing, but about accepting failure, learning from it, and never giving up. When I face a failure in my projects, I always ask myself one question: what can help me improve next time? And I never miss that learning opportunity. Resilience is an essential part of the journey to happiness. Happiness is not something you can have instantly. It's not the result of a single event. Happiness is a process. It's the small steps, the right decisions, and most importantly, the resilience to overcome the obstacles life presents. Every time you overcome a challenge, no matter how big or small, you are a step closer to building a happy life. No one can live without facing challenges, but the difference between happy people and unhappy people lies in how they respond to those challenges. When you learn resilience, you don't just learn to face difficulties, you also learn to maintain faith in yourself and your ability to change. A resilient person is not afraid of failure because they know failure is a stepping stone to success. And that's how you find happiness, not when everything is perfect, but when you know how to face challenges without being knocked down. Building resilience starts with accepting the fact that life doesn't always go according to your plan. You will face difficulties. There will be times when you feel stuck, and sometimes everything seems to go wrong. However, those moments are the opportunities for you to develop resilience. When you learn to stay calm during tough times, you'll discover your inner strength. That's when you realize that you can overcome anything if you maintain your spirit and never give up. Every day, you can build your resilience through small but meaningful habits. Start with small steps. Stay calm when facing a tough situation. Accept that not everything will go your way. And instead of seeking perfection, look for ways to keep moving forward even when life is not ideal. These habits not only help you become more resilient, but also help you build a healthy mind, ready to face any challenge. An important part of resilience is knowing that you are not alone in this journey. We are all people capable of rising up. And resilience will help you realize that each challenge, each difficulty carries a lesson. You're not facing life alone. When you face difficulties, remember that others are also going through similar challenges, and mutual support is an essential part of building resilience. So resilience is not just a personal trait, it's also an element that connects us. When you are resilient, you inspire those around you. They will see in you a strength that doesn't come from never failing, but from never giving up. Resilience is something everyone can learn and develop, and when you become resilient, you'll see that life is not a series of failures, but a journey with steady progress. I've always believed that resilience is the most important factor in seeking happiness. Happiness is not a destination, it's an ongoing process. And in that process, resilience will be the key to overcoming challenges, learning from failure, and eventually building the life you've always wanted. Start today, choose resilience, and you will realize that happiness is right in front of you.